What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news, man. And today, we have a signing by the Detroit Lions. And no, it's not the cornerback that we talked about yesterday. Instead, it's an edge defender. And that edge defender is Bruce Irvin. So let's get it started. Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here, man. And yes, we are back with another Lions update type of video, an episode of Lions Latest. And I'm very fired up about this one. I'm excited to talk about this player. And we'll probably end up revisiting this again, talking about the player in a little bit more detail, kind of like we did with Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's a real possibility because there's so much to look at with Bruce Irvin in his career. Now, it's also a little bit difficult because he has not played this season. The last time we've seen Bruce Irvin play was 2022 when he rejoined the Seattle Seahawks, and now he has signed with the Lions about halfway through the season. We're seeing something similar with Jason Pierre-Paul, who was like, hey man, I'm ready to help anybody that's kind of in contention, that's trying to make it happen. And that's basically what the Lions did here in signing Bruce Irvin, a player that had not played so far this year. He's 36 years old, but he's going to sign for this stretch run. Lions sitting at 7-2, a lot of opportunity in front of them. We talked a little bit about the schedule in yesterday's video. I do want to say real quick, the reason I'm a little bit late to this, and I apologize, I'm a few hours late, I missed it, is I was working on my all-22 video for the offense. I got it finished, started editing, and then I checked my phone and I saw the news and I was like, oh snap, I'm like 2 hours late to this. So I'm going to be a little late. That's all right. It's fine. All right. We still got to talk about the news. All-22 video should be out tomorrow, which I'm pretty fired up about because that was a lot of fun watching that today. Talked about the cornerback yesterday from the New England Patriots, Jack Jones, and I had questions about how the Lions would feel about certain things off the field, and he was claimed before the Lions would have had an opportunity to pick him up. I don't know if they were interested or not, but when you watched Bruce Irvin, or if you just know about the history of Bruce Irvin and how he made his way into the NFL, the limited college production, maybe some things that popped up off the field, and the way that Seattle found a spot for him in that defense, playing that Leo role within that defense, allowing him to be kind of a pass rush specialist in a sense. I mean, he would drop out, play the run, but about 75% of the time he was a pass rusher. He's also got connections to former coaches on our coaching staff defensively. We've talked about that in the past a little bit as well with his time in Seattle, but you know that. And then when you also watch the player, it's so easy to see why the Lions would like a guy like this, how he fits what the Lions are. And he also kind of fits basically what he was doing last year with the Seattle Seahawks, where he was kind of bringing along a lot of the young edge defenders that they had, and he was a rotational piece for them defensively. And then on top of all of that, I think he also fits really well for the Lions, not only for now, but he could also help us a lot long term here, in the sense that he's signing to the practice squad. The hope is that he'll be ready, he'll get ready soon, and then we're able to bring him to the active roster, and he can be probably a rotational piece that can give us some pass rush, specifically in pass rush situations. But we also know that he can play on early downs. I mean, coming out of the draft, there were questions, but he's shown the ability to do that in the NFL. But the point is I like the fit, not only for now, but also for the future. When you look at now, a lot of young guys that he can help, work with, bring along, not having James Houston currently, and then also the current skill sets that we have at that position, he brings us a little bit of a different style, a little bit different from a lot of the consistent bull rushing, drive you back into the pocket type of edge defenders that we have. Instead, he gives you a little bit more of the freakish athlete. Yes, at 36 years old. This is not based on the draft. This is based on what I watched from Seattle that I've gotten to so far. The guy still brings a freakish athlete to that position. Coming out of the draft at 6'3", 250, he put up ridiculous numbers, 4.5 40, 6'7" cone draw. I mean, that's like what Aiden Hutchinson was doing at the draft. Ridiculous numbers, a 1.58 10-yard split. This was a quote that I found for him coming out of the draft. He is an edge with cornerback skills. Okay, that's what he brought athletically to the table, and a piece that I think fits in so well, because when you talk about the future, it doesn't really maybe shake up, oh, what are the Lions going to do there? Does this make sense? Do we need to give him a long-term deal? Because none of that's probably going to play into it with Bruce Irvin. Instead, what it does is it allows, again, the door to still be open for an exclusive rights free agent after the season, James Houston, to be able to sign him, bring him back, potentially put him into a big role. But in the meantime, he could play a lot of kind of that Sam backer role that we've had with Jack Campbell. It started off with James Houston, then it went to Jack Campbell, and we looked at that Baltimore game and said, yo, there's some breakdowns going on here. Specifically, they're attacking a lot of those guys in the front. This is a veteran, again, 36 years old. He's been around, played for multiple teams. He gets it, so you're getting an intelligent player that can step into that role. But at the same time, coming out of the draft, he was a guy that would play that role opposite of the tight end, go to work on your left tackle. It gives you an energetic legit pass rusher that brings a lot of veteran leadership to the team, while also bringing, I think, a little bit more than just being a spot pass rushing ability type of player. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to tell you what I've seen so far, what have stood out to me so far of watching the player. Again, it's limited what I've seen so far because I really want to watch a lot of what he's done recently. And again, it's still difficult because this is not 2023, this is 2022. But we've seen this happen before where veterans signed. We've seen it now recently with JPP. This happened. So this is not something new the Lions are just going out and doing. This happened. Sign him to the practice squad, elevate him, and then eventually he gets some snaps with us. And again, we're in a position that we haven't been in a ton, which is we're 7-2. We got an opportunity to win a lot of games here, put ourselves in a really good spot. These are the specialists that you kind of bring in along the way. So let's talk about it. First thing that stands out, this stood out back coming out of the draft as well. Well noted for this. We just talked about the athleticism is the first step. And for a guy that's at 36, none of this is based on the past or what was he like in 2012 as a rookie. This is based on what I'm seeing right now. And I think he has a good to great get off. Athleticism is still there in that sense. The first step, quickness, the urgency that he gets off the ball with, you'll see him kind of work to time up the snap. Occasionally you'll get offsides. Occasionally you'll get some like, whoa, types of jumps off the line of scrimmage. So he still is giving you this threat from what I've seen last working with Seattle. It's a good to great get off. He covers good depth as well within his first step. And it doesn't just set up what he can be and how he threatens you as a pass rusher. You'll see the help, that teams will throw to him, running backs, tight ends, those things, trying to kind of squeeze him inside. But it also threatens what he is as a run defender because of his ability to slant inside, consistently win a gap, and also allow you to bring slot cornerback blitzes, slant inside a gap, and have him win that gap, be a slippery player as he is. So I love this aspect of his game. For it to be a good to great level to me, just from what I've seen recently, is pretty darn impressive. Here would be one of those wild plays for me. This one I was like, well, I was not expecting that. He's going to go right through this C gap, right off the tackle on this play. You can see him looking to time up the snap with the center. Really good depth that he covers on this play, and he's launching off the ball here. I mean, he's pushing the quarterback into the back. This is unreal. And if you wanted to combine closing ability as well, the closing acceleration, well, you may get some hit and miss in terms of a quarterback making you miss some of the elusive quarterbacks. That may not always be there, but the closing acceleration on its own, again, that's really good as well. The guy can absolutely open it up when you start to watch him. And we were talking about the cornerback yesterday, and it was like, I don't know how the Lions feel about the off the field stuff. When you watch this guy, you're like, yeah, he fits. Okay, there's no question on the field. He fits what you want to have defensively, the kind of player that you want to have. The urgency, the fieriness that he plays with, the feistiness that he brings as a run defender, tied along with just the energy. He's an energy guy. It's one of the notes that I had down. I mean, this guy plays with outstanding energy, and he's rotational, so it can help keep him a little bit more fresh. Also, the aspect, you talk about some of the traits, long arms, 33 3/8 inches. That's pretty good for an edge defender, especially a guy at 6'3", 250. That's good length. That shows up as a run defender. He wasn't known as a great player at setting the edge back in college, a little bit more slippery maybe than anything, but it's definitely something that he's at least improved upon in the NFL. He sets the edge pretty well, keeps himself really clean as a run defender, very quick hands tied along with the good get off. He positions himself really well, really early, and then he plays again with just a lot of feistiness as a run defender, and he does a really nice job, I think, attacking balance. This is something that I think goes back to kind of just understanding the feel. One of the best aspects and traits that I think he'll bring for us right now, outside of just what's the pure pass rush moves, is the pass rush feel that he brings to the table. And you could honestly argue the same thing as a run defender, kind of this feel of how the offensive lineman is playing him. You get the same sense as a pass rusher. He can sense when an offensive tackle is off balance, or they're oversetting, or they're reaching, trying to get back into the play because he got the edge. He can feel those things. He can also feel the quarterback in the pocket, and sometimes it's not as fluid or as smooth as maybe you would hope and look a little herky-jerky, but he just knows where the ball is. He has a nose for the football. 55.5 career sacks. Now he's joining the Lions last season with Seattle. 3.5 sacks, 20 total pressures, 13 hurries, and about 400 snaps. So it's not ridiculous numbers, right? You don't see consistent wins over and over like he's dominating everybody. If that was the case, he wouldn't have been available probably. But when you do watch him, you do see a sense and a nose for the football. He just finds it, and it's huge, especially for us with all the games that we like to run up front, kind of the TE stunts. When you get those loops and crashes, and even just on his own, his ability to kind of just find himself through those little pass rush lanes that open up, sneak himself through there, and be a very slippery defender, explosive athlete. I mean, some of the plays that he makes, I mean, you would think the guy's like 25. You're watching like, dude, that's insane. Like, he's just launching. He is an explosive athletic pass rusher that plays with incredible energy. Now, some things that didn't, stand out as great, probably the bull rush aspect of his game. I think he plays with good speed to power, attempts with how well he gets off the ball when he's really able to set up good balance and get a nice little jolt. But the ability to continue to drive, bull rush consistency, I think it kind of lacks a little bit. It's a little bit maybe below average just because of maybe some of the leverage that's not consistently created for consistent drive power. To me, he's a little bit more of win around the edge type of rusher that can feel it and also kind of work back inside rather than a consistent, I'm going to work right through the offensive tackle.
When I watch him, I don't always see the most consistency and ability to continue to drive and not be anchored down or maybe transition off of it. That could be just not having seen enough of him. I don't think it's a terrible part of his game. He does bring some real juice and jolt into that first contact. That speed to power initial punch is effective, which can open up some stunts and some games that he could absolutely run in the interior, and he's slippery. So there's an ability to slide off those, I believe, as well. But we're also about to talk about some of the dip and bend. And while this aspect may be better than James Houston, if we're comparing the two, I don't think some of his dip and bend at the top is the same as James Houston. So I think it's a little bit different in that sense.
To use kind of that chop move, the hop and chop down and kind of work around the edge. I think he's a little bit stiff in the hips. When you watch him trying to kind of bend the corner, finish on some plays, he'll kind of get rolled out of the pocket a little bit more than maybe you would like. I think he's a little bit stiffer there, and you don't get consistent, fluid, inside counter pass rush moves when he's working along the edge. It's a little bit more like the offensive tackle did not play that well, and then he can come back into the play and make a play. And then the versatility aspect, while he'll probably be more of a pure pass rusher for us, if he was in a spot where the line said, hey, man, we want to put you maybe in that sandbacker role and maybe you have to drop out into coverage occasionally here and there, he has more than enough athleticism to do that. He's not going to look like a guy that doesn't fit there. Maybe not when he was same as when he was a rookie coming out, but he can absolutely drop into coverage, play underneath zones. He showed that ability last season. He looked pretty natural in doing so. Personality-wise on the field, he absolutely fits what the Lions want to be defensively. You want to talk about not wanting to shake that up. This won't shake that up. If anything, I just think it makes us better. I mean, I'm just watching like he just makes everybody better. He's already done this kind of role working alongside young guys, trying to bring them along, while at the same time, maybe he can give them a little bit of pointers like, yo, you're seeing this, hey, bring this to the table. But in the meantime, without James Houston, I think this is a very valuable asset, right? I don't think he's going to go crazy and really like, bro, this dude is ridiculous, but he does have a real ability that helps our defense, and I think he has a real role for now, and then it also can allow us to be a little bit open for the future. So personally, man, I love this signing. There's really, I mean, there's no risk to it. Maybe the salary cap, but that's not really an issue. This is a signing that makes a ton of sense. It fits what they want to do. Of kind of going back through what he meant for Seattle when we used to talk about this coaching staff and certain guys that came from that tree. I loved what he was for Seattle, the way that he was kind of able to transition into league, become such a dynamic pass rusher, but also a guy that can really play the run and just bring that athleticism to the table and really fit in within a tough nose defense that would stop the run. And you even saw that a year ago. This guy will play the run as well, work through tight ends, work through tackles, and consistently he shows a pretty good ability to set the edge with good power, good length, and really good quickness more than anything with just a lot of energy. So to me, man, I like the signing. I think this is really good. There's really no downside to it. And at the same time, I think it's something that we could have absolutely used. So I'm going to leave that there. It's just something we can absolutely revisit. Again, Offensive All 22 should be out tomorrow. With that being said, thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.